For people out there listening, I think too many people focus on net new ideas when as you start building a big archive of ideas and posts and such, you can just repurpose so much of your old stuff. You can either disseminate it down and or take best performing old creative and just repackage it in a new updated way. Like you don't always need to be thinking of new ideas. I think too many people think that's the case.
Yeah. Well, no, exactly. I mean, say my whole thing is helping founders with operating systems, right? And that was one content pillar of my brand. Well, with that one content pillar, I can make how-to videos. I could make deep dives. I can make an industry report. I could create case studies around that. I could create listicles around that. And you go down the list of all these different types of formats and being able to take that one core idea, that pillar, and be able to kind of remix it in all these ways. And further to what you're saying, I think the importance of this on a brand level is oftentimes as we're building brands, right? It's about less, but better, right? And what you're trying to create over time is this kind of drumbeat that someone can come and know and love you for, right? And when you're going and instead of trying to focus on 1,000 things you could talk about, instead have one core pillar that you're able to say in new and fun ways, but many times people can come and know, love, and recognize you for that one thing, and you become more magnetic online.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot, about people owning words or pockets. And for me, when I look at you, I think of systems and I think of freedom. Also a little bit of Bali too with the ponytail. I think of that, but I look at you, I really do think about freedom. Let's go deeper onto the content side. Obviously, that drives the whole entire waterfall of a business. That's what I personally think. What does your team look like? And let's dive into what are the characteristics of these humans that you're hiring and bringing on? What does your content team look like?
Yeah. So on the content team side of things, how I see it is I'm really big in any of my businesses in creating those businesses into essentially like a media company, right? And so when I think about the media company side of things, there is, written media and then there's video media, right? And they need to be staffed accordingly. So in summary, I have a video predator who's my head of video. Predator meaning a producer and editor. So someone that can both come up with ideas. He can design thumbnails in Figma. He can then edit those ideas. He can analyze different ideas on 1 of 10 to see what's right and wrong and what's right for the brand. And he also has a lot of friends on YouTube as well and in these spaces. So he can also bash those ideas off of others. So we're talking like a weapon of a full stack creative, right?
With a balance of analytics and then also taste.
Taste, yeah, exactly. And real skills, editing, design, animation, like all of it. So that's who's running our video department. Underneath that, we have 3 long-form video editors and 2 short-form video editors. The 3 long-form video editors, 2 are responsible for editing all of the content, of which we're publishing 2 videos per week on YouTube on our main channel. Then we have a second YouTube channel, which is owned by my boy Memo over there. And he's the one editing all of that content there. And we're publishing 1 video every day over there.
Wow.
Okay. So those are the 2 YouTube pieces. Then we have Instagram, which we're publishing 1 Instagram reel per day and then 1 YouTube short a day, and same thing on TikTok. And so that's owned by 1 short form editor. And then recently, this is new for me because all of the brands I've ever built, whether it's my personal brand to 3 million, Herb to 14 million, this was all built without spending a dime on ads. I actually don't know how to run ads, truthfully. So we just got going with ads like 3 months ago, and then have a editor that does some short form organic stuff for us, but then does all the 40 ads that we make, let's say every month as well. So that's like the video side of things. And then on the written side of things, I've been working with a guy on my team, Nick, as our head of marketing for the last 3 years. And Nick works with someone named Anna, who's actually his girlfriend, who runs all of our LinkedIn. She also organizes all of our B-roll, which I think is an underrated thing. Like, I know me and you are a little bit OCD on this, like footage organization and files and all that, like so underrated, I feel like, as you're building these media companies, really making sure that all your organization is super tight. We have a newsletter writer named Nils, who manages creating 2 newsletters every single week. We have a copywriter named Marcella, who does all of our email sequences, our landing pages, and any special projects like new low ticket products that we may release. And then we just brought on recently a social writer who will do I've written a few books. I have one coming out soon. I've created probably over 500,000 words of written content over the last few years. And so it's kind of synthesizing some of my core ideas, even maybe some things I say on this podcast, and then pulling that into a tweet or pulling that into a caption or a carousel on Instagram. So that's the squad.
Somebody starting today, what's that first hire?
Yeah. So the first hire out the gate is once you've made that decision, whether you're pen first or writing first, if you're pen first, it's going and probably getting a social manager, right? Because now you're creating this written content. And what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to go and lock in. And there's a few stages to writing, right? I want to be able to come up with ideas myself. And then on a Friday, 4 hours, double espresso, get into my founder flow, lock in, and just pound out maybe a bunch of tweets for the next few weeks. But then I want to know that that stuff's going to be distributed correctly and have someone actually managing like the posting of that on Twitter. Maybe they could also take that content, post it on LinkedIn in a cool way. And then maybe they can also repurpose some of that content for Instagram carousels. So I'm able to just lock in and write, but then that person's now making it into a whole media company. On the other side, if you're going more video first, bar none, you need a video editor, right? I think that you should be focused on kind of being able to sit down, camera in front of you, or vlog, or whatever style you like to do. But then know you can hand that footage off to someone with good taste, good diligence, someone extremely reliable to go and edit that right for YouTube and put that out there for you. So those are the two hires.
And the $1 million question that everybody asks me is, where do you find these editors? And this is kind of the whole entire thesis of the conversation is the value of building a personal brand. They usually come to you. Like how many of the people on your team have come to you versus going to a third party to find an editor? How many people on your team?
90%.
There you go. People really, really don't understand that.
But I want to say too, just to kind of bring it down to earth too, and I like what you're saying, is also, so you're getting started out, right? Where do you find these people when you don't have a personal brand, right? For me, one of the things that I always come back to is similar fish swim together, right? So we all have those friends that are weapons, that are A players, that are tastemakers, right? Even if it's 3, 4, hopefully you can kind of think a little bigger and come up with 30, 40. And even if those people aren't video editors or aren't designers or whatever you're hiring for, going and hitting up those friends, letting them know that you're growing and letting them know who you're hiring for. Again, A players hang with other A players, right? And maybe someone has a cousin or a sister or someone in their class or who knows what that actually is that thing you're looking for. And so I always default to that when I'm hiring, even today, is always just like hitting up 50 friends that I have that I know are down to help, and I'll help them with similar type stuff and seeing who they may know for those roles.
Once you get to a certain point, I do feel like it's 30 text messages and a couple social media posts. And then 95% of the time, you're going to get it.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people that you have to create content. Let's talk about from a tactical perspective, how and when do you create this content? Are you doing batching? Are you doing one time a week? How do you get all of this into that funnel to then plan out? I imagine you're planned out your content. How far in advance are you planned out?
A few months. Yeah.
Insane. So how do you actually execute this content?
Yeah. So let's talk about video to be specific. So on the video side, now I want everyone to keep in mind, like this has been a long journey, right? So what I'm going over now is not how I started, right? There's been pain, suffering, little lessons that I've learned along the way to get to where I am. I started just like most people. I was in the backyard of an Airbnb I was living at in Puerto Escondido, Mexico, janky ass little tripod, $20 Amazon lav mic, vertical video, iPhone, sun in my face. I think
guys, we're going to find that video and pop it up. I want to see that. You got the ponytail then or no? No ponytail or ponytail?
No, we had ponytail. Yeah, we were rocking ponytails. And so, coming all the way from that to then where we are now, I've just learned a lot. And most importantly, and I think this is important even when people are listening to this, is I also just along the way took different nuggets, but then did what was right for me, right? How you prepare for podcasts and you do your thing is going to be different than mine. How you film these is different than mine. It's also important to kind of adapt it to your thing. But here's how I do it. So when we go and, again, we're publishing a lot of content, right? The key thing for me, at least, is I want to be able to batch that content. So what we do is every 2 months, we lock in for 7 days. I have a videographer who flies out to wherever I am in the world, right? So I'm in LA now. We're doing a little week right now. I'll be in Bali in 5 weeks. We'll do a little week there. And essentially during that week, we're filming around 18 long form videos in that week. We'll film probably around, say, 15 to 20 short form videos. And we'll film, if we need to, like 30 to 40 ads, right? So it's kind of like this sport is how I see it, right? And it allows me to kind of put on that hat of like, okay, we're making shit this week. And, I have my routine of getting good sleep, waking up and going to the gym, feeling good. And every day just is more or less the same, right? We're filming a few long form, maybe a couple short form, maybe a little bit of B-roll. And then after that week, I'm good for at least 2 months of content. And then I just get back to the other stuff I got to do. So that's how I prefer it, because I think one of the most exhausting parts of making content is when you have no system, where you're just making a little bit of content every single day. And then you're waking up or you're staying up at night going, okay, what am I making tomorrow?
That's terrible.
Right? And then you wake up and then you get to it and then it's messy and you get one done. And you do that for 10 days, you do that for 30 days, but you got to start wondering, is this actually sustainable for like 3-4 years? And the answer is hell no, right? So this system that I've come up with the team is something that works. It's fun. I actually genuinely enjoy it. And I could see myself doing this till I die.
Yeah. I mean, from a switching cost perspective, and for people out there just starting from an economies of scale and a costing perspective, you just want to do it all at once. You get an Airbnb for you do it all at once. You don't have to keep doing stuff again.
And you also get in the flow of it, right?
100%.
It's like when you're writing a book, which I'm writing right now, right? It's like, if you just write a little bit every day, it's like so tricky, But if you can really lock in, even get a cabin in the woods for 10 days to lock in and really get the book going, you can probably finish a manuscript in those 10 days. I know it's even how, Matthew McConaughey wrote his book, right? Just lock in a cabin for like 2 weeks, right? So it's the same sort of thing there, just really locking into that new mode of thinking versus like little bits here and there.
And for context, for people listening that want to do this one content day, if everybody out there listening, I challenge you to do that. Is it a work back schedule and then what, like a shot list? And is it like categorized by, obviously B-roll is one thing, maybe audio, maybe the YouTube videos? Like, how do you actually execute against that? Is it like a schedule?
Yeah, let's go even deeper. So, okay, first off, let's talk about ideation, right? When it comes to ideation, there's a few core sources of ideas, right? So I think the most valuable source of ideas for any founder is your actual paying customers, okay? Going and surveying your customers with a killer survey, right? That has 3 questions. What's your biggest challenge right now? What is your biggest goal this year? And if you could wave a magic wand and get my help with anything, what would that one thing be? The answers to those questions, right, are like the core desires, fears, needs of your actual paying customers. You can then go, if you want, and feed that into GPT by downloading those survey results and then giving it outlier content from, say, a platform like One of 10 or even your own YouTube channel, and then get it to come up with ideas, again, that are based on serving those actual people. Because the whole thing here, right, is we're not trying to just build personal brands, right? We're not trying to build followers. Fuck that shit, right? We're looking to build a profitable personal brand, right? Why does the profit matter? The profit matters because you need to build leverage. You need to build a team. You want to be able to invest in it. You want to make tasteful shit like this podcast, right? You don't want to make some rinky-dink shit. And so that capital, right, from actually serving similar people to your core customers is going to make you money. From there, we'll run it through, say, platforms like One of 10, if I'm making YouTube stuff, to see what's going on there. And I think there's a balance though, right? You get inspired, you see references, but I think the key thing to avoid, which is kind of blowing up right now, right, is just a sea of sameness, right? Everyone's starting to look like everyone. All the titles are becoming the same. The thumbnails you see popping up are all sort of the same. So it's also getting inspired by that, but then kind of taking it your own way, right? And finding your own aesthetic.
And a good rule of thumb too is to look cross industry,
yeah,
not to stay. Because obviously in the business industry, a lot of people are copying each other.
And even just look off, like read books, look at art, like, I don't know, get outside, go hike in nature, get inspired by other stuff. Hence, like a lot of my stuff is just nice photography of me just out in nature, because that's actually what I enjoy doing. And so that's kind of the idea side of it and like the packaging side of it. From there, we're preparing for the filming week. Here's a major hack, okay? If you just go and get your team to go and come up with the concepts and say, okay, today we're making a video on how to manage your time as a CEO. Now, here's what you're kind of roughly going to go through. What's the issue going to be? Is none of that shit's probably authentic. So what you want to do, and this is a major thing that I think people should go to, and we're going back to Loom here, right? Because Loom's a tool. They're not sponsors, but we're going to go for it, is I go and make looms for each topic and then send that to my video producer so that he sees for 10 minutes me talking.
Your own native POV on that
topic.
Amazing.
And then is able to then go make the brief and make the hot button stuff and make the punch it like lines off of what I actually feel about it.
Guys, this is the special sauce right here. This is how you stay differentiated. So you're getting the challenges, the goals specific from the people that are already kind of warm leads that would potentially buy from you.
No, I'm getting people that actually buy. Like
people that already bought.
I'll get people that have paid me 50 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand and understand what they want and then just go make content around
So this
that.
is post-purchase for the cohort that's probably spending the most amount of money as well too.
Yeah. And then I'm going and then around the topics that we come up with that are well researched and stuff that we're fired up by and feel on brand, I'm then going and creating a loom around every single one of those topics. Could be 10 minutes. I've made them up to 45 minutes if I really wanted to go hard. And then my producers then making briefs around each of those for each of the videos we're going to film during that hardcore filming week. And then from that, here's the thing that I've learned recently, and some people are going to hate me for saying this, okay? I think I've had to learn in my own way, you got to be a bit of a diva. Okay, here's what I mean by this, okay? Basically, you're a founder running a business, right? There's a lot of pressure. Shit comes up, right? Like life ain't easy, right? The default of any business is chaos, and the default of any founder life is kind of crazy if you're not careful. And so we were talking the other day at dinner, right? In life, you get what you tolerate. So I'm not looking to come to a set and have to adjust the lighting or have to look at a camera angle or even have to worry about what's in the fridge or what we're filming that day. So every single day before we even film for the whole week, I get every single like kind of brief printed off. So every morning before we film, I can sit down with my coffee. I can go and write notes on each of the briefs, get it kind of primed in my brain. So when I sit down, lights are on, camera's set up, everything's ready to go. And I can just turn on, rip it, and then, pound out even 2-3 of those and then get on with my day. I think oftentimes, and this is kind of the precursor to creating systems, right? Is like when you just feel in your brain something's kind of super annoying, right? Or you feel that kind of cognitive dissonance, like, God damn it, like, why is this so hard? Or why am I saying this 10 times? Or for me, even it's, years ago being like, why do I dread these filming weeks? What's going on here? I'm not looking forward to this anymore. I'm kind of getting annoyed by this. And what I realized after actually talking with ChatGPT and kind of like using it as a therapist was that one thing I was doing is viewing it too much as performance versus play. And so now what I focused on with all this stuff is first off, how can I make this fun? And I think this is a good exercise for every founder to do whenever there's any part of your business that feels just hard. It's like flip the script, right? Ask yourself, what would this look like if it were fun? And then the second aspect here is then really focusing on service, right? Like, why am I here today? I'm here to help people in this audience actually build their founder-led brand, actually remove themselves from operation, and hopefully help them with the other stuff you have on your list, right? And it's from an act of service that fires me up and makes this feel like something that like my heart, my soul, my mind, my body, we're like a fucking hell yes about this, right? When you show up for things though, and you're thinking about how many views it's going to get, you're worried if it's going to get you all the subscribers. It's outcome focused thinking versus process focused thinking. And in my life, I spent my whole 20s on outcome thinking, hoping to get the exit, the subscribers, whatever the hell. And it drove me mad. And so over the time, I've learned this kind of more process approach, focus on play and having fun, and then just being of service to people is where the real magic happens.
You said a lot of things right there, and I'm laughing inside my head because we just hired a chief of staff 3 weeks ago.
Nice, congrats.
Thank you, Rilla. And you talked about being a diva and loving it. In order to love it, the system must be set up in accordance to what you want. You, the founder of the company. And what we just started doing, they're probably laughing over there right now. Like they think I'm like an idiot boomer. I'm like, I need a 2-page PDF every Monday and every Friday because that's how
And you want it written on a typewriter.
And I want it written out super simple so I can synthesize the information because that's just how my brain works.
Nice.
So for everybody out there listening, it has to be set up to put you in a position where you can perform best and have the most amount of fun. It's what works for you.
Yeah.
Now, on the flip side, the whole entire middle of the process, you can make it messy in the front and then everybody else internally on your team can organize it. But ultimately, when it gets to you, it has to be in a position that you can process it the best and then you're going to have fun doing it because ultimately you are the product.
Yeah.
I am the product. I am sitting here that I need to have fun and enjoy what I'm doing and be prepared. So I think people out there need to understand that you have to customize it for what you want.
Yeah.
That's the whole entire thesis of why we're doing what we're doing, to have fun and enjoy what we're doing.
Well, and just further to that, right? That's also why I'm like kind of saying this diva thing, right? Is I think it's important. Your investors aren't going to give you permission to be a diva, right? Your team is not going to give you permission necessarily to be that person. Like you have to know that it's okay to just want what you want the way that you want And it's your business, it's your vision,
And
it's your mission.
And you can't feel bad about
and
it.
don't feel bad about it.
Yeah,
it's totally fine just to be that person and have these quirks or ways you like things done or written documentation or you like things printed out. Great. Just know what's right for you because like you are a big part of the secret sauce of that business. And it's important that you kind of get it the way you like it.
So we have that content. And then what's the system to actually organize this, make sure it's arriving and getting posted on time, analyzing the data, get out in front of it? What do you use? What type of tools do you use? And what does that look like?
Yeah. So after all content has been shot, the editor and the videographer are then sharing that up into Google Drive. They're then downloading that, putting that into Frame.io, which I think is one of the greatest tools out there. For those that don't know, Frame.io is the tool that you can use to then go and upload all your footage. You can leave comments in it on different areas that you like, don't like, cuts you want to make, things you want to add, all that. So a super collaborative tool to kind of really get your edits dialed in. You also want to make sure that those comments get pulled out into video guidelines. Because if you're saying, hey, the font shouldn't be that, it should be this. No, the green shouldn't be that, it should be this hex code. That's all stuff then that should get documented. So you're not just repeating yourself in Frame every freaking edit, right? So now you have it in Frame. It's now good to go. You're going to pull that out. You're going to have your packaging that I typically work, our producer has the packaging that's all being created inside of Figma. How we approach that is, say you're thinking YouTube, you have about 4 different variations of a thumbnail that are all drastically different than one another. So you're really A/B testing different sort of looks. So maybe it's a head-on look of me. Maybe it's one of me in nature. Maybe it's one of me with someone else, etc. And then for each of those, there's about 10 different permutations of each variation, meaning like the text is a bit different or there's a calendar in one, but there's a clock in another. I don't know, right? So you end up with almost like 40 different thumbnails, right? So that you can initially go and test the 4 different types. But if you end up discovering that one is a winner, you still have 10 other permutations of that one that you can then go upload into YouTube's A/B testing tool and get ripping. And the key thing there is having a testing system. My producer, Diego, is in YouTube Studio probably for every 2 hours after a video gets going and just adjusting titles, adjusting, the actual thumbnail of things because, you see a little bit of a dip in performance. You're looking at a winner. It tells you the winner of the thumb. You're uploading that one, uploading more variations of that and kind of just riding this little testing wave where, maybe 100 hours has passed and we've already gone through, 6 different thumbnails and maybe 6 different title variations. So now you have the video out there. It's been distributed. The packaging's right. My social media manager, Nick, is going to be the one actually posting this stuff, right? So he's putting the video up on YouTube. He's making sure that the description is right. Inside of the description, we have the first link that goes to joining and applying to Founder OS. Second link goes to the newsletter. And third is just a bit of information on the video itself. The key thing is that we're driving people to the newsletter from a lead magnet that we've talked about in the video. And so the big thing with lead magnets is you want to make sure that they're contextually relevant. So it's an irresistible next step for someone who's watching the video. So say the video is success is hard until you build systems like this. Well, maybe the lead magnet is the 8 core systems I recommend that every business owner has. Go and get them for free in the link in the description. So people go and look to download that. They enter their email and their phone number. Now I've actually captured that viewer and their email. So I own that audience versus being platform dependent on YouTube. And, we get rock and rolling there. So I have a designer named Yan who makes all those lead magnets. So in the background, there's a bit of coordination there that goes from video packaging is good, lead magnets good, Nick's taking all of those assets, uploading the video to YouTube, putting the descriptions in the video, putting that thing live. And then we're going to let it run. Honestly, I'm not about over analyzing things. I think you got to kind of give things a bit of air. So every 30 days, 60 days, all links that we have are trackable links. And so they're UTM'd into HubSpot. So we're able on the back end in our dashboards to see how much cash collected do we drive from a given piece of content, which I honestly think is probably, as you get building a media empire, the most important metric, profit per piece of content, right? Because then you can also start really tooling in your content strategy. Again, not just on views, but based on what is causing people to actually convert, which is probably one of the biggest end goals if you're trying to build a proper media company and enterprise.
I want to disseminate that a little bit. I think one of the most important things that you said is a lot of people that do this, and I know it's a bit of a heavy lift for people that are starting in the beginning, is having these kind of evergreen macro lead magnets that you're going in and out of different types of videos and different types of topics. And the video is not talking to the lead magnet. Like for us, like you guys can see down below in the description, we're going to have a lead magnet specific to you and this episode. You're going to get 3 to 4 times more click-through rate and probably 2 times more sales if it's native and specific to that individual asset. And then another huge thing too, I would say the second step is what you mentioned, is the UTMs, is understanding and knowing where you're actually getting the leads from. I think that's, a lot of people don't take that into account. They just say, here's the lead magnet. This is how many we got holistically, but maybe you're getting way more from one channel. Yeah. I don't think people look at that.
Yeah, I know. I mean, what we're seeing on the back end right now is we're getting about 40% of our customers from YouTube, about 20% from LinkedIn, 10% from X, 10% from Instagram, and the rest like TikTok, Substack, whatever the heck else. So interestingly enough, it's like YouTube and LinkedIn that are the most powerful platforms for us right now. And when I talk to other creators, I don't think it's far off for them as well.